Hey everybody, this is Xander Kamatazi, and today I will be going over the Jedi Guardian for as a defense spec for tank. I will be going over your talents, which is also known as your utility points. I will go over some important facts in the discipline path. I'll go over a very basic rotation. I will also go over your threat abilities that will generate your high threat to keep ads on you, your taunt abilities, as well as your AoEs. Now, to get started, I recommend that you go read over your discipline path, every single one of these, because I'm only going to go over a few of them for things to note, and you will likely come across something that will help you find your own rotation. And that's actually going to be highly important because I am just simply doing the basics. For utility points, as you can see, the highlighted is what I have spec'd in. And I also recommend going over the others, so that way you're able to find your own utility points that you may find that you will like better as you go along tanking. So under skillful, I have Second Wind, which reduces the cooldown of Resolute by 30 seconds and causes your Resolute to heal you for 10% of your max health whenever you use it. Now your Resolute ability is your Purge effect, which in case you get stunned, you're slowed or whatever, you can use Resolute to purge that effect and continue attacking your opponent. I also have Trailblazer, which increases when your Cyclone Slash by 25% increased damage. And Narrowed Focus, which I believe is helpful, but may not be quite as helpful as it seems. Which, when you take non-periodic area of effect damage, you will generate 2 focus. And it cannot occur more than once per second. Focus is highly important as your abilities, like the ones that are dark down here, you need focus in order to use those abilities. It's essentially your energy that appears underneath your health bar here. If you have played a warrior in World of Warcraft, it's essentially the same thing as rage. The good substitution in case narrowed focus or whatever abilities you don't like over here. A good substitution will be Defiance here, which you generate 4 focus whenever you're stunned, immobilized, put to sleep, or knocked down. Under Masterful, I have Guardianship, which a challenging call protects your allies within range, excluding yourself. So you are not included in the challenging call protection. But your allies will be granted Guardianship, which absorbs a moderate amount of damage for 10 seconds. This is fantastic as it keeps your DPS, your melee DPS, or your off tank that happens to be nearby. It will help them stay alive longer, and your healers will be able to keep them up if they happen to take damage. I also have Pulse here, which reduces the cooldown of Force Stasis by 15 seconds. Force Stasis subdues your target, stunning them for 4 seconds, and deals a fair amount of damage for over the duration, which will also build 3 focus. The ability can be channeled while moving. A good substitution here will be Purifying Sweep. Says while in defense discipline, your Force Sweep slows the target's damages by 60% for 10 seconds. This is useful in case you have an ad that pulls off of you and starts going towards, let's say, a healer. You'll be able to slow it and have a chance to taunt it back onto you deal high threat to keep it on you. Under the heroic here, I have Ardent Advocate, which your forced sleep enables your next dispatch or willing blade to be used against a target with any percent of health. And you have 15 seconds to do so. Now, the thing about your dispatch is it's normally used on targets that have 30% or less health. That's usually when it's only be able to be activated. That's why Ardent Advocate is useful. Preparation. When you exit combat, the active cooldowns of Force Leap, Combat Focus, and Saber Throw are reduced by 100%. That means when you exit combat, all of those cooldowns are automatically finished, and you'll be able to use all those abilities again once you re-engage in combat. Good substitution here will be Stalwart Defense, because when you're in defense discipline, all damage is reduced by 30% while you're stunned. Under Legendary, I have Daunting Presence, which Force Leap finishes the cooldown on your Force Kick. In addition, Saber Reflect will last 2 seconds longer, and since we have Suresu form here, it will automatically be utilized. It will generate a high amount of threat whenever you use Saber Reflect on all engaged enemies within 30 meters. So that will be helpful in keeping the ads on you. Some important things to note for the discipline path here, which again I highly recommend you read over all of the abilities. Things to note for it: your Force Sweep and Cyclone Slash will cause unsteady on your opponents, which will reduce their accuracy by 5%, and the effect lasts for 45 seconds. Your Force Stasis, as you read before, I have spec for 15-second reduced cooldown. The reason being for this is because your Force Stasis will have 100% increased damage. So it used to do a small amount of damage and going up to moderate amount. So the damage on it is increased by 100%, and it generates a high amount of threat, and it becomes an instant cast. Your Blade Storm will create a barrier around you, and it will absorb a moderate amount of damage, and it lasts for 10 seconds. And then the last thing to note is your Guardian Slash impairs your opponent for 45 seconds, reducing the force and tech damage it deals by 5%. And it becomes an AoE if you are guarded by your Warding Strike. So there's one of the combos there. So as for a basic rotation, basic rotation I have here is you start with your Force Leap. Then you follow through with that with your Ward Strike, followed by your Guardian Slash, Force Sweep, Hilt Bash, Blade Barrage, your Saber Throw, and then you could go through with back to the beginning, or you can kind of play around. If you go back through, since Hell Bash will likely still be on cooldown, you will substitute your Hell Bash with your Force Stasis. So to represent this, I'll target my training dummy here, I will use the Force Sweep, Warding Strike, Guardian Slash, Force Sweep, Hill Bash, Blade Barrage, Saber Throw. That's just a quick representation of what I just went through. Things to note there. As you saw, my dispatch came up, my repost. I also had Blade Storm up. These, you would it's a good idea to use them whenever they're perked or they just happen to be up in Blade Storm's case, because I don't think I've ever seen Blade Storm perked or procced. So he's doing so, as you saw, use Dispatch, Word Strike, Guardian Slash, Post, Force Sweep, Hell Bash, Blade Barrage, and Saber Throw. Of course, you want to. I'm doing it quick. It's a very good idea to work on getting your timing down, so that way when you go through, you still have. You generally won't have any cooldowns except for Hell Bash here. Like I said, you would replace that with Force Stasis on your second go around. Timing is extremely important on a tank. So that way you're not trying to keep attacking while you have a bunch of cooldowns that would be rather important in very important situations. Now for your high threat here, as mentioned, Force Stasis is going to have a high threat thanks to one of your Discipline Path abilities somewhere in here. Hill Bash will generate a high amount of threat. Guardian Slash will have a high threat, and then if you're spec'd for it, and only if you're spec'd for it, your Saber Reflect ability will generate a high amount of threat as well. For your taunts, you have your single target, simply straight up taunt here. It will force that target to attack you for 6 seconds. On top of that, your player targets will deal 30% less damage when attacking anyone other than yourself for 6 seconds. Challenging Call is your AoE taunt. So it will taunt all targets within 15 meters of you for 6 seconds. And while you say, and that only works if you're in Surasive form, which all tanks will be. If you're not in Surasive form, so if you use this ability in any other spec, your threat will immediately be reduced by a moderate amount, so it reduces the threat on the targets. And then has the same effect for 30% less damage from player targets on your allies. Now for your AoE abilities, we have Ward Strike, as well as Force Sweep. So Psycho Slash. Oh. Alright, yeah, so the combo for. Warding Strike and Guardian Slash combination creates the AoE. You also have Force Sweep and you have Cycle Slash. Those are going to be your AoEs. That is the basics of the Guardian as a tank. Very big important note for that information. Timing is everything for a tank, because you have, as you've noticed there, you will constantly have abilities on cooldown here. So that's why timing is important. It's because you don't want all these abilities to be on cooldown when you're going through again. The last thing to note is also your defense abilities up here. You have quite a bit. Use them. Use them sparingly because these also have a high amount of cooldown times, like a minute, 2 minutes. Unity, if you unlock this for Unity and you have your companion out, Unity is also useful, but that's more of a when you're out playing with a couple people or by yourself. Anyway, good luck to the tanks out there who have watched this. I wish you all the best of luck.